Alicia is ready on.
Turn audio on. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you in Pecos Hall.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I was getting strange messages about my microphone. Uh, Great. Good morning. My name is Felicia Worth, hearing officer appointed by the Oil Conservation Commission to conduct a hearing in OCC 24683 relating to well plugging and financial assurance. We'll begin this morning with public comment. This is our final public comment session in this hearing. We believe we'll be wrapping up the hearing fully around the middle of the day today. So I see several folks with their hands up on the platform. Sheila, if you would please. We have the chair in the hearing room and two commissioners on the platform, as I am. Sheila is the commission administrator. Sheila, would you please just move through the folks on the platform with their hands up?
Yes, I will. And then we have two in-person commenters in the room.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Who are we doing first?
Okay, first up, we have Mike Eisenfeld.
Yes, commissioners, my name is Mike Eisenfeld. I am the Energy and Climate Program Manager for San Juan Citizens Alliance. I live in Farmington.
Hold on one second. Would you please spell your first and last name for the transcript?
Absolutely. M-I-K-E, Mike Eisenfeld, E-I-S-E-N-F-E-L-D.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Okay, thank you. I'm the Energy and Climate Program Manager for San Juan Citizens Alliance. I live in Farmington and I've lived here for 30 years. San Juan Citizens Alliance has about 1,000 members in the Four Corners area. We're very familiar with the oil and gas patch and some of the responsibilities that the oil and gas companies have. Working in the San Juan Basin suggests that the magnitude of reclaiming oil and gas sites is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. For example, several oil and gas wells in the Horseshoe Gallup field near water flow would require several $1 million each for proper reclamation, including plugging, facility decommissioning, and reclamation. Responsible development of oil and gas requires increased bonding as part of the process. Taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for cleanup of abandoned wells. The concept that the Oil Conservation Division is sitting on $60 million and that will be sufficient to address the cleanup problem is unfounded. The State Reclamation Fund is severely underfunded. The claim from NMOGA that this isn't a money problem is irresponsible. We have 40,000 wells in the San Juan Basin in varying degrees of productivity. This is a chronic issue. So please update the oil and gas bonding to levels commensurate to the extent of the problem pervasive throughout New Mexico. The San Juan Basin needs an infusion of responsible investment in reclamation of abandoned oil and gas facilities that decay in the landscape and in our communities. Thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eisenfeld. Who's next?
Next is Sherman McCorkle.
Ms. McCarkle, can you unmute yourself?
There, good morning.
Oh, good morning, sir. Would you spell your first and last name for the record, please?
Sherman, S-H-E-R-M-A-N, McCorkle, M-C-C-O-R-K-L-E.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm a native New Mexican, lived in New Mexico my entire life. I'm associated with the Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. I have spent my adult life working on job creation across New Mexico, bringing in quality jobs, long-term jobs, good paying jobs, jobs that support others in the towns and communities around New Mexico. I also understand that this ruling would be disruptive to jobs. As we know, New Mexico depends greatly on the federal government for our medical insurance, and we need to find ways to keep quality jobs in New Mexico. We urge that you not continue with this rule. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCorkle. Who's next, Sheila?
Next is Rochelle Chavez.
Rochelle Chavez. Can you unmute yourself, Ms. Chavez?
Good morning.
Hello, would you spell your first and last name for the transcript, please?
Rochelle, Rochelle, Chavez, Chavez.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Okay. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Rochelle Chavez, and I am with NAVA as an Indigenous Energy Organizer. New Mexicans should not be left holding the bag for oil and gas cleanup costs. With over 1,000 abandoned wells and thousands more at risk, it is time to update our outdated bonding rules. And we need to make sure that the companies are paying to clean up their own messes. Many of these wells sit near tribal lands where Native communities are bearing the brunt of pollution, health risks from the leaking methane and the contaminated water, and the destruction left behind from extractive industry. Our communities, the water, and future generations deserve protection, not more pollution and public debt. If they drill it, they need to clean it. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Chavez.
Next is Lynette Roller.
Lynette Roller. Ms. Roller, can you unmute yourself? Ms. Roller? You might have to press Control-Shift-M.
Hi, sorry. My name
Hello,
is Lynette Roller,
would you spell that, please?
Lynnette. The last name is Roller, Roller.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your time.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Lynette Roller, and I am an instructor at a small regional university here in New Mexico. I was born in Roswell and spent my childhood in New Mexico and Europe as the daughter of an airman. As an adult, I traveled even more extensively as the spouse of a soldier and New Mexico Military Institute graduate. In retirement, we returned to the state we hold dear. I love the variety of wonderful places to enjoy in the vast outdoors of New Mexico. While working in education, I am daily confronted with the state of our educational system. My students are underprepared, exhausted, and often poorly nourished. They're good people being stretched to the limit with circumstances outside of their control. Jobs, family, and emergencies make getting an education more challenging for them than many realize. Education gives my students hope for a rewarding future. Without the money from oil and gas, many of our students would not have the opportunity to pursue an education. From the skills my students bring to the classroom, it's obvious they're not getting the support they need in K through 12 education. We need to properly fund K through 12 education so that our students can compete in a very technical environment. As of 2024, our state ranks 50th among the states in education. If we include the District of Columbia, we rank 51st, dead last. Since most of the funding for K through 12 education comes from oil and gas businesses, this industry is critical for our children's future. A new development is the need for data centers. There is a significant drive for center expansion in New Mexico, driven by the AI boom and positive demographics. This will increase the demand for power in the state. The oil and gas industry plays a vital role in our New Mexico economy. No other industry in New Mexico can bring the much needed funding for our state. Please consider the irreplaceable role that oil and gas plays in our state when considering any new regulations, such as financial assurance requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roller.
Next up is Andrew Bleekrod.
All right, Mr. Bleecroft. Hello.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. Andrew Bleekrod, and that is spelled AndreBleichrod.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your time.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. My name is Andrew Bleekrod, and I work for Marion Oil and Gas, who is based in Farmington, New Mexico. Here's a synopsis of my issues with the proposed rule. This new rule is unnecessary. The state already has rules and regulations in place that enforces the count of shut-in wells an operator can carry and enforces the plugging of wells with strict penalties. Where regulations were not enforced or by some means wells ended up the responsibility of the state, the conservation tax paid by the industry, which was passed to address orphan wells back in the 1950s, is specifically intended for and states that funds are to be used for plugging abandoned wells and site remediation. This tax alone brings in $140 million a year for the plugging and remediation of orphaned wells. So to say that the state has allowed some 700 plus wells or $1.5 billion of plugging liability to build up says that the state has misappropriated this tax money for decades. This new bonding rule is a completely misguided punishment to the operators who have been paying the tax for abandoned wells and is clearly a double up on taxation that's already in place. The state should use their current rules to address problem operators with too many idle wells, and the OCC should push the legislator to use the conservation tax for its intended purpose. Ironically, this new rule, if imposed, will backfire. The state testified that 19% of operators are bad actors and are at risk of dumping their wells on the state's orphaned well list. This rule will immediately put that into effect, as those operators are not going to be willing to or able to come up with a $150,000 bond per well. Any operator carrying debt, which are most, will find it difficult to secure these high-dollar surety bonds. Those bad actor operators are going to dump their wells on the state. Further irony, the increased bonds that the good operators secure will not be available to help pay for the existing orphaned wells or those that are about to be dumped on the state by those bad actors. These increased bonds do not add money to the state's orphaned well plugging fund. The $1.5 billion liability problem does not magically get solved by this new rule. The state can only go after the surety bond of a specific operator's abandoned well and cannot use these increased bonds to plug wells already on the state's orphan well list. The petitioner, in this case, Welk, says the rule is needed to make sure the oil and gas industry pays for its impact and to ensure the state is not left holding the bag on orphan wells. Welk's interest is not so much to protect the state, but to do everything they can to put the oil and gas industry out of business. Welk's own website states that, quote, fossil fuel development is incompatible with the action we need to confront climate change. We are working to end oil and gas leasing and drilling on our public lands, end quote. And as I just explained, this proposed bonding rule does not in any way help the state with its current plugging liability and in fact will only increase it. But it does impose hardship on every operator, therefore fulfilling Welk's true intent. In closing, I ask that you reject the rule or drastically amend its provisions so that it doesn't punish prudent operators and force smaller struggling operators immediately out of business. Instead, the state should use their current rules to address problem operators with too many idle wells, and the OCC should push the legislator to use the conservation tax for its intended purpose. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Bleekrod.
Okay, next is Michelina Pollock.
All right.
Good morning.
Hello. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Michelina, Paulek.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
I'll start your time.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. My name is Michelina Pollock. I'm the Executive Director of the Energy Council, representing operators here in the San Juan Basin who live, work, and raise their families here in New Mexico. We take pride in being responsible stewards of both our energy resources and our communities. Here's a simple truth. More than $60 million already sits in the Oil and Gas Reclamation Fund, money that could be used today to plug wells. Industry has done its part. We've paid in, complied, and continue to invest in reclamation. What's missing isn't more financial assurance, it's action. Holding responsible operators accountable for agency inaction is misplaced and counterproductive. Equally concerning are the elements of this rulemaking that exceeds the Commission's statutory authority. The legislature, not the Commission, has the constitutional and jurisdictional power to adjust bonding and appropriate funds. Expanding those requirements through rulemaking risks overreach and undermines public confidence in the process. The Commission's mission is clear: to prevent waste and protect correlative rights. Yet this proposed does neither. It ties up capital that could otherwise fund production, compliance, and well plugging, penalizing operators who already meet and exceed environmental and reclamation standards. Additionally, no data justifies these sweeping changes. The Legislative Finance Committee's policy spotlight, Orphaned Wells, shows bonding shortfalls stem largely from legacy and non-compliant wells, not from responsible producers maintaining and reclaiming their sites. Raising financial assurance across the board does not solve that, it amplifies it. Our industry isn't asking for less accountability, we're asking for effective accountability. Use the funds already collected, focus enforcement where it's warranted, and streamline the plugging process. Don't burden the very operators doing things right. New Mexico's oil and gas sector is the economic backbone of this state. We are partners in progress, not adversaries. Overregulation doesn't protect our future, it jeopardizes it. Today, I urge this commission to take a balanced, lawful, and data-driven approach, use the resources already collected, strengthen enforcement where it's genuinely needed, and work with the operators who are already committed to doing the right thing, not against them. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Pollock.
Okay, next is Jean Harbaugh.
Yes,
Hello. Would you please spell your first and last name for the record?
my name is Gene Harbaugh, GeneHarbaughh.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes,
I'll start your time.
I would like to speak in behalf of the new regulations that are being proposed. Certainly current requirements are not realistic as we know here in Carlsbad, what it costs to remediate an abandoned well. In addition, we have friends who live on the Black River that had a spill related to the delivery of polluted water, and it costs $100,000 just to clean that up. So the bonding requirements are obviously not realistic, and setting a higher restriction should not be a problem for the big companies. They claim they have plenty of resources and can take care of remediation. As for the small companies, they should not be in business if they cannot afford bonding. A part of the extraction process is cleaning up the mess. Companies are not going to move to Texas. The oil is here in New Mexico. In fact, if we remove the oil more slowly, it would be better for all of our communities. The public does not have the paid lobbyists and the professionals that the companies do, so we rely on our elected leaders to provide a safe environment. a new proposed rule would certainly represent good policy for the long-term benefits of the state of New Mexico. Thank you for accepting my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Arbaugh.
Next up, we have Stephen Robertson.
Hey. Mr. Robertson,
morning.
can you unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hello. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Absolutely. Stephen, Stephen, Robertson, Robertson.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Stephen Robertson, and I'm with the Permian Basin Petroleum Association, which represents members of the oil and gas industry who operate in the Permian Basin of Southeast New Mexico. I believe that oil and gas development and environmental stewardship are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they go hand in hand, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment on behalf of our members on this current proposed rulemaking. While we are always looking to improve operations and outcomes in our industry, which has a history of over 100 years of operations in New Mexico, to do so in this case, we need to be honest about the issue. The rulemaking under consideration without significant changes will limit employment opportunities for New Mexicans through job destruction in the oil and gas industry, harm the New Mexico economy by forcing small operators out of business, and will increase the number of orphaned wells in the state instead of decrease them. As these should each be considered a negative, it appears the only positive outcome of this proposal would be to raise more funds to plug orphan wells in the state. But the state already is projected to have a $485 million surplus by fiscal year 2027 and uses an inappropriately small amount of the conservation tax paid by members of the industry to actually plug orphaned wells. Currently in New Mexico, oil and gas companies plug roughly 99% of oil and gas wells that have reached the end of their useful life without use of any taxpayer funds. If a well isn't part of that 99%, but instead is part of the 1% of wells that become orphaned, the state should step in using the reclamation fund, which is derived from a portion of the conservation tax, to plug those orphan wells. As of nearly a year ago, this fund stood with a balance of over $66 million, meaning there is a tremendous capital reserve already available to plug the roughly 1% of wells that become orphan. And, as you know, this isn't a stagnant amount as additional revenue continues to flow from the conservation tax to the reclamation fund. So if 99% of all wells at the end of their useful life are plugged by the industry, and there is 66 million and growing held by the state to plug the additional 1% of wells, why are we looking at drastically changing a regulatory framework that will benefit at best a fraction of 1% of wells, yet have tremendous negative consequences for workers, the economy of the state, and locally owned small businesses? Further, with the state projected to have that surplus in fiscal year 2027, why is there not more of a focus on OCD using more of the revenue generated by the conservation tax for plugging wells when that should have been the purpose of the industry paid tax in the first place? PBPA members are always committed to striking a balance, and we are willing to work in the weeds to address real public policy issues. However, we wonder whether or not this actually begs the questions I've asked, or is this proposal more of a solution seeking a problem than a solution to a problem? Thank you again for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson.
Next is Ethan Buckner.
All right. Mr. Buckner, would you please spell your first and last name?
Ethan, Ethan, Buckner, Buckner.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ethan Buckner, and I'm the Energy Program Director at Earthworks, where I oversee our field team working to reduce oil and gas pollution and accelerate a just transition away from fossil fuels. Our field advocates are in the Permian Basin and in the San Juan Basin throughout the year using optical gas imaging cameras to make the invisible visible, to show the methane and toxic pollution leaking from oil and gas sites across New Mexico. I help guide that work nationally, connecting what's happening here to a much larger story about how this system operates. When you zoom out, you can see the pattern. We're drilling at record levels in New Mexico, yet more and more of that oil and gas is being exported overseas. That doesn't make our domestic energy supply more stable, and makes it more volatile and raises costs for consumers. It drives boom and bust cycles, undercuts our climate commitments, and leaves communities here to deal with the health, air, and water impacts while companies profit from export abroad. These profits rarely stay in New Mexico, but the pollution and cleanup costs do. And that's the imbalance these bonding rules can begin to correct. That's why this rulemaking matters. It's a chance to realign incentives so the true cost of extraction is paid by the extractors. When companies don't post realistic bonds, it's effectively a subsidy for pollution. Strengthening bonding rules means internalizing those costs and creating more accountability up and down the supply chain. I spend much of my time building bridges between federal policy, grassroots advocacy, and frontline communities. And across that network, one thing is clear: progress depends on states like New Mexico showing leadership where the federal government cannot or will not. These rule updates are about accountability, fairness, and protecting public health. They're about ensuring that the fossil fuel industry cleans up after itself, not after the next boom and bust cycle leaves more communities behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckner.
Next up is Gunhild Vetter.
Hello, can you unmute yourself?
I think I did. Can you hear
Yes,
me now?
hello.
Okay.
Yes, would you spell your first and last name, please?
It's Gunhild Vetter, Gunhild, Vetter, V as in Victor, Etter.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Thank you for your time. My name is Gunhild Vetter. I have been a resident of New Mexico since 1963 after moving here from North Dakota. I worked for the Albuquerque Police Department from 1963 until the retirement in 1986. Starting as a secretary in juvenile division, I started noticing the extreme need in the education system. While talking to a young lady in custody, I asked what her plans were when she graduated. Her reply was to have babies and go on welfare, like her mother and her grandmother. She had no role model, and the education system was not was working with adults. One situation I recall was a couple of young adult males who supposedly completed high school, but could not read the advice of rights form. Later in my career, I became a volunteer for the literacy program and was assigned adults to work with. One was a deputy sheriff and another was a plumber. Neither could read or write and had to depend on family members for everything. The deputy had found a way to fake his way through the system by saying he forgot his glasses so he could not read. These are just a few of examples of needs in our education system to prepare our youth for a successful life. I understand the gas and oil taxes fund our education system and ask that you support provisions that will help fund our education system through oil and gas taxes and avoid provisions that will be detrimental. Thank you.
Ms. Vetter.
Next, we have Mary Ingham.
All right. Ms. Ingham, can you unmute yourself? Ms. Ingham? You might have to press Control-Shift-M. I think you have it.
Did I get through? Okay,
Ah, there you are. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
sure will. Mary, Mary, last name Ingham, Ingham.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I appreciate the chance to share my thoughts with you on the upcoming proposed rule changes. I spent my early years in South Dakota on the Sioux Reservation and moved to Crown Point, New Mexico on the Navajo Reservation in 1968. I attended high school there and later received my physical therapy degree at the University of New Mexico. I've spent most of my career working with children affected by injuries and disabilities and their families through the Indian Children's Program and Carrie Tingley Hospital. I have a grandson whose mother is Navajo, and his grandfather and other family members were devastated by the closure of the coal-fired electric San Juan generating station in 2022. This closure in the energy sector cost many good paying and stable jobs for Navajo people and many others in Northwest New Mexico. Many now depend on the oil and gas industry in that area. Decreases in those jobs would cause another very negative social and economic impact on many of my Navajo classmates and family members in Northwest New Mexico, as well as other small and large family businesses in that area. Much of the funding for children's services and education comes from the oil and gas industry. Children with disabilities and special needs require many of those resources, and they are some of the most vulnerable citizens to these losses. The across-the-board losses would be felt in every sector of the communities that provide the oil and gas that fuels our economy and good quality of life in New Mexico. Loss of any of the funding and community support provided by the oil and gas industry would be felt way downstream in the lives of the citizens in other geographic areas of the state, and especially with special needs children and families that I love so much. I have 5 children and 5.5 grandchildren who are dearly loved. I want them to grow up and thrive in our beautiful state. Keeping our bountiful oil, gas, and energy industry providing well-paying jobs, supporting businesses and communities, and funding many of our essential community needs across all 33 counties is essential. In conclusion, I ask that you please do not support these rule changes for the sake of our children and families in New Mexico. Thank you, and God bless your work.
Thank you, Ms. Ingham.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next is Mark Trimmer.
Mr. Trimmer? Hello. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Sure. MarkTrimmer.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of you. My name is Mark Trimmer. I'm a 63-year-old business owner in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born and raised in New Mexico. I grew up in Santa Fe and received my BBA in International Business from New Mexico State in '85. Moved back to Santa Fe in '87 to work for Thornburg Management, and then returned to Las Cruces for my MBA in 1990. When I completed my MBA, I'd drive to Wagon Mound every weekend to work on a cattle ranch until I actually made money in my business. I currently own a Raymond James Financial Service office and have been an investment manager for over 38 years. As a native New Mexican business owner, I've taken personal interest in advancing economic development and sustainable growth in New Mexico. I've always been involved in economic development groups, as well as testifying specifically on New Mexico business needs relative to PNM and the grid and reliable power. My father came from Womack and Tacoma, Washington in the 50s. He was Governor Campbell's press secretary and later became a lobbyist for New Mexico Oil and Gas Association. As a result, growing up in that, I've always taken an interest in the topic, and I grew up around the oil and gas policy and independent producers. As an adult, I watched New Mexico become low-hanging fruit to the whims of special interest groups rather than creating overall healthy, actionable economic development plans. The current proposed rules and policies affecting the oil and gas industry will do nothing to help New Mexico move to the next level to care for its citizens, and quite the opposite. I'm intimately familiar with the oil and gas industry and the benefits we've reaped as a population. I have seen many actions taken that harm our state's economic development future, and at 63, I still want to take part in helping the state create this fundamental platform for economic development. I would appreciate it when you make your decisions if you take into consideration the relevance of my testimony based on my lifetime experiences and my commitment to improving the quality of life for New Mexicans. I appreciate what you are doing to assess the state's needs and pulse of the people, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Trimmer.
Next is Jimmy Smith.
Mr. Smith, can you unmute yourself? Might have to press Control Shift M. Mr. Smith? May have stepped away, Sheila. Let's come back to him.
Okay, we'll go to Tim Gibbs.
Good morning.
Hello, would you spell your first and last name, please?
Yes, Timgibbs.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Madam Chair and members of the Commission, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tim Gibbs. I serve as the CEO of Four Corners Economic Development, representing San Juan County and communities across Northwest New Mexico that depend on a balanced and sustainable energy economy. The oil and gas sector remains one of the fundamental economic pillars of this region. It supports small business, local governments, schools, and thousands of families. And while we all share the goals of responsible production and environmental stewardship, the proposed rule change from the Western Environmental Law Center would have severe unintended consequences for the communities like ours. Requiring the $150,000 per well, even for temporary shut-in or marginal producers, would not strengthen accountability. It would shut out the small and independent producers that are in this region who already operated on narrow margins. It would mean loss of jobs, reduced revenues for counties and schools, and an increase, not a decrease, of the orphan wells of the smaller communities that are forced out of business. Likewise, limiting well transfers and granting unchecked authority to block acquisitions, this would discourage reinvestment and make it harder to extend the productive life for the existing assets. At a time when we need reasonable transition and investment in both energy and diversification, these policies would drive capital and opportunity out of the state of New Mexico. Four Corners Economic Development urges the Commission to pursue solutions that maintain accountability while recognizing the real-world impact of the working communities that it represents. Our future depends on balanced policy that keeps production safe, jobs local, and opportunities growing, not policy that cuts off our own economic lifelines. I want to thank you for your time and for your continued focus on the people and the communities behind the New Mexico energy economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
Next is Daniel Pritchard.
Okay. Mr. Pritchard, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me
Hello.
fine?
Yes, would you spell your first and last name, please?
Daniel Pritchard.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
I'll start your time.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Pritchard, and I live in Taos. I'm a retired engineer, and I'm on the executive board of Renewable Taos, a local all-volunteer organization that promotes renewable energy, economic development, and environmental protection. I'm on the call today representing our organization because we're concerned about the oil and gas industry's 1% of wells they say are not cleaned up. They seem to be able to run roughshod over the environment in our state and immune to cleaning up after themselves in the proper manner. Renewable Taos strongly supports a significant increase in the bonding requirements for the oil and gas industry to ensure they leave their operational areas in a clean, healthy state. A few years ago, I was researching the potential for a large solar array to be sited on land leased from the state land office. Construction of the solar array would have some impact on the sagebrush-covered section of land in the form of posts for the panels and roads through the sagebrush for maintenance. Within the lease agreement from the state land office was a clause to ensure the land would be restored to as near original state as possible at the end of the lifetime of the solar array. In other words, if you build on it, you also restore it, even for a relatively benign solar array. The same principle must apply to all the wells drilled by the oil and gas industry. If they drill it, they clean it, no exceptions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. Sheila, I'm wondering if we should go to the two folks in the room if they've been there.
Okay.
Is this mic on? Yes, it is.
Yes,
Hello,
it is. Hello, would you state and spell your first and last name, please?
my name is Patricio Laragoite. First name is spelled Patricio. Last name is Laragoite, Larragoite.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Thank you. I'm a native New Mexican. My family's been in Santa Fe for 5 generations. Now I have a son and grandson, which represents 6th and 7th generation to be here. I'm concerned with the increase of taxes if we have to cover the unmet needs of abandoned wells through taxpayer dollars. I think the burden should be, was mentioned earlier, if you drill it, clean it. And I believe that the industry needs to take responsibility for that. And this bonding change represents that the funding will be there in years to come. I just lost my train of thought. Let me look at my notes real quick. Anyway, I'm not here to punish the extraction industries. I'm here to make it safe for all New Mexicans. And their responsibility should be 100% to clean up these abandoned wells, not that passed on to taxpayers. And that's why I'm here as a taxpayer. I'm not a member of Sierra Club, but they're the ones that encouraged me after several meetings on other issues that they knew that I was passionate about this issue, and they asked me to come. I was going to come anyway, but they asked me to come and speak for Sierra Club also, so I do represent them. I do encourage the commission to vote yes on increasing the bonding, and thank you for allowing my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Larragoita.
Good morning.
Hello,
My name is
sir.
Robert Fuseli.
Yes, hello. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Yes, it's Robert. Last name Fuseli, Fuselier.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm a retired veterinarian and currently a chaplain. The two traditions of science and faith come together in me to form the foundations of my understanding of the world in which I live. This foundational understanding, along with the concern I have for our future generations, which include my 2 surviving children and 8 grandchildren, is what brings me before you today. My science background tells me that the contamination from uncapped gas and oil wells has detrimental effects on the lives of those living now and those to come. My faith background simply tells me this is wrong, that it's unacceptable. Here in this state, if I wish to drive a car, I must obtain a license and prove that I can pay for any harm I might cause to the lives of others or their property due to an accident in which I am at fault. I am not allowed to force others to pay for my actions. I must buy sufficient insurance. I understand that New Mexicans currently face hundreds of millions of dollars in cleanup costs from the wells that currently remain unsealed. If every person in New Mexico who wishes to drive must ensure that they can compensate those they harm, it's only logical and fair that those who wish to drill in our state must prove that they will be able to pay for capping their wells and for any detrimental consequences of their drilling that negatively impacts the lives of New Mexico, of New Mexicans and the environment in which we live. I humbly urge you to update our laws and regulations to ensure this happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuseli. Is there anyone else in the room, Sheila?
No, there aren't.
All right, let's go back to the platform.
Okay, next on the platform, we have Carol Sullivan.
All right. Ms. Sullivan, can you unmute yourself? There
Yes,
you
I
are.
have.
Hello.
Good
Would you spell
morning.
your first and last name, please?
My name, Carol, Carol Sullivan, Sulliv, as in Victor, AN.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I certainly do.
I'll start your time.
Thank you. I am an 81-year-old retired nurse executive and educator. And my husband, James, is 86 years old, retired as a commercial builder and a United States Army veteran. We have been married 60 years, 50 of which of those years we've worked and raised our family right here in beautiful land of enchantment of New Mexico. It was here we added 3 Mescalero Apache daughters to our family. Today, we thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity to represent the concerns of our now huge Hispanic, Irish, Norwegian, Native American family. Our businesses as well have taught us that we need to be concerned about the people. We're concerned that the proposed regulations could be disastrous to other family businesses. We believe, like our family, the families that are considered small oil and gas producers in New Mexico are hardworking and striving to provide for their families. Have and that of such a family, and so we're concerned for these families. We believe the proposed bonding fees included in these regulations will be an unnecessary burden for these families. And in turn, it could be for the whole state. Because we know oil and gas money supports 90% of New Mexico's public education and those things we're interested in, healthcare, food security for needy families, and so many other things. We believe that the commission can improvise a solution to achieve the goal for which these fees were intended. We have had to improvise in our businesses to find ways to meet needs, but we never jeopardize the needs of our family. So we're asking you to consider our small gas and oil entrepreneurial families who produce oil for this state and our nation. Consider them as a most valuable resource, perhaps as valuable even as the Permian Basin itself. They carry with them a legacy of hardworking Americans working to better their family's experience. It's all about success for our people. The people make the difference. Please do not implement these bonding fees in the form they're in that will impact these families so much. And perhaps all of New Mexico. We need to encourage hardworking families. And so thank you for this time. I pray that you will recognize this important issue. And we just pray blessing over you as you make these hard decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Okay, next is Charles Wendler.
All right. Mr. Wendler, can you unmute yourself?
There. Oh, okay.
There you are. Would you
Okay.
spell your first and last name, please?
First name Charles, last name Wendler, Wendler.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Absolutely.
I'll start your time.
I have macular degeneration and had to give up my driver's license last year, which really wasn't a very pleasant thing. So I've written up something here, and I'm asking for my wife to read it, okay? And thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners, for listening to my testimony, and I pray that you will receive it in the light that has been given to you. God bless. Okay, Selah.
My name is Charles. My name is Charles Wendler. I received my BA in Education and Master's degrees in School Administration from Western New Mexico University in Silver City. I taught upper level science and math, and I have witnessed firsthand how technology has evolved over the years. I am married to a Hispanic woman, a naturalized U.S. citizen, who also worked in education as a public school teacher and counselor. We have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. Our oldest son is a lieutenant colonel and a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy. Our daughter is a doctor of optometry, and our younger son is a chemical engineer. I first came to New Mexico in 1963. We are very blessed to have abundant gas and oil resources in our state, which provides significant financial revenue and many high-paying jobs. These industries have also contributed to a large permanent fund through the severance tax, which has supported various public initiatives, including early childhood education. I consider myself a practical, common sense type person that has lived long enough to realize the value of the natural resources of our state, such as copper, gold, silver, uranium, coal, and timber, to name a few. In today's economy, oil and gas remain vital to maintaining our energy independence and promoting economic growth. Without a strong energy sector, neither we nor our children can truly prosper. Failing to fully support this industry would be like killing the goose that laid the golden egg. I urge you to consider my perspective when voting on these regulations. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my testimony today.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Wendler.
Okay, next is Denise Willie.
Ms. Willie, can you unmute yourself? Ms. Willie? It might help to press Control-Shift-M. No? All right, let's come back to Miss Willie.
Then we have Esperanza. I don't know the spelling, either the pronunciation, Charez.
Okay, Ms. Charez, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
My first name is Esperanza. My last name is Chairez.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your time.
Good morning, Chair Chang and members of the Commission. My name is Esperanza, and I'm here as part of Youth United for Climate Crisis Action. We stand in solidarity with Danae
There it is, finally.
members that have proposed amendments to hold oil and gas operators accountable for their abandoned wells. Our generation will have to pay the cost if this issue is not addressed. This rulemaking presents an opportunity towards a just transition, which could involve training a workforce to clean up and remediate abandoned well sites towards the greater goal of eventually transitioning to renewable energy sources. The Commission must address the fact that more than 60,000 oil and gas wells will eventually need to be plugged. This is a colossal threat to our public health and to the environment. Many of these abandoned wells have been shown to be leaking toxic water that exceeds federal and tribal health standards for benzene, arsenic, and other pollutants. Frontline and indigenous communities bear the brunt of the oil and gas industry's extractive and negligent practices. While ExxonMobil recorded $33.7 billion in profits this past year, New Mexico continues to pay the cost with our health. Yucca urges the Commission to adopt the proposed amendments in order to curb greenhouse gas emissions, starting with the emissions from abandoned wells. The enormity of methane emissions from orphan wells has been well documented in numerous studies, and we know that methane has a greenhouse gas warming potential 25 times higher than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. Climate change is already impacting communities in New Mexico. The largest recorded wildfire happened only 3 years ago, and the majority of counties in the state are currently facing a drought. We cannot afford to keep ignoring this issue and kicking the can to younger generations. This problem is also an opportunity. This is an opportunity to collaborate with and properly consult the Indigenous and frontline community members about how to best implement regulation and begin remediating these sites. We urge the Commission to adopt these proposed amendments and continue working towards a just transition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Steve Jones.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Steve Jones, and I will spell my name, Steve, S-T-E-V-E, J-O-N-E-S. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
So help me God.
I will start your time.
Members of the Commission, thank you for entertaining my comments relative to your consideration of proposed regulations for the New Mexico oil and gas industry. I come to you as one who spent his entire career in the energy industry. I've traveled to many third world countries that are underdeveloped due to energy constraints. My greatest satisfaction was when, as president of Fortesa International, I was able to develop stranded natural gas reserves in the West African country of Senegal. Their 3 electric generation facilities were located in the 3 major population centers and had previously belched yellow smoke since they were forced to use Nigerian bunker fuel. The cost of the bunker fuel was so great that Senegal had no energy dependent industry and was therefore an agrarian society. Now, you and I are concerned with the direction of the New Mexico energy industry. We're worried about the influence of oil and gas industry on public education. We're worried about the possibility of increased costs of energy to New Mexican households. We're worried about keeping and attracting businesses in New Mexico. You have a difficult decision to make as you evaluate the environmental impacts. My love of both the land of enchantment and the energy industry brings me to the point of my testimony. Futurist predictions are that demand for energy will double in the very near future. Now we're in a competition. The greatest growth in productivity and therefore prosperity will go to the states that have cheap and readily available energy. Please reconcile the environmental and our wonderful states people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Okay, next we have Javiero Obando.
Mr. Obando?
Thank you. My name
Hello,
is
would you
Javier
spell your
Obando.
first and last name? Yes.
Yes, my name is Javier Obando. It spells XavieroBando.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your time.
Thank you. I'm Javier Obando. I'm a father of 2 school kids. I'm surprised to hear so many imply that normal, obvious bonding to clean up orphaned wells will cost the state and impact education. We have already 700 abandoned wells, 4,400 more at risk, and taxpayers have covered over 100 million in cleanup in the past 5 years. 89% of New Mexicans agree companies should pay to restore what they profit from. This rule is about saving the state money and requiring industry to pay to clean up their own mess. The The request is easy. If you drill it, you clean it. Please approve these rules.
Thank you, Mr. Armando.
Okay, next is Jimmy Smith.
All right, Mr. Smith, can you unmute yourself? Hello.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good. Yes, thank you. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Jimmy, Jimmy, Smith, Smith.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your time.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jimmy Smith. I came from a family of carpenters, but went to the oil field 42 years on the production side. I'm still here. I love what I do. I grew up in Archia. I enjoyed helping the high school football team. I have been a pumper, a superintendent, and we drilled a lot of new wells. Now I work for a small independent. I've doubled their production in a year and a half. I take care of wells, pulling units, the production. My boss is making money now. I went to Echometer School, and they rewrote their curriculum to what I suggested to the instructor. He'd ask me a question, and I would correct him. I have put many hours into being the best at what I do. I have doubled my boss's production in the last year and a half. I quit an oil company and started my own business. I was making $85,000 a year, and a year later I was making $220,000. I can now restart my business troubleshooting wells for other companies. The regulations affect me by the restrictions and the regulations that we shouldn't have to worry about. Over-regulations drives out jobs. I am asking you to support the oil and gas industry and its workers and consider the risk and how it affects the industry. Thank you for your time, Jimmy Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Next is Todd Randall.
All righty, thank you.
Hello, yes, my name is Todd Randall.
Hello, would you spell your first and last name, please?
Toddrandall.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Thank you, Commission. I'm a professional engineer and a New Mexico State graduate from 1995 and currently serve as the Assistant City Manager for the City of Hobbs. Mayor Sam Cobb couldn't be here today and requested the following statement. The City of Hobbs opposes the proposed oil and gas financial assurance rule. While we support reasonable well management, this rule would duplicate existing requirements and impose unnecessary financial burdens on small and mid-sized producers who already pay a state conservation tax that funds plugging and regulatory oversight. The increase in bonding and requiring up to $150,000 per well in upfront insurance could force smaller operators out of business, reduce local jobs and tax revenue, and increase the risk of abandonment of wells, the opposite of what the rules intend. We urge the state to seek balanced solutions that protect the environment without undermining New Mexico's energy economy or the communities that depend on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Randall.
Okay, the last hand up is Denise Willie.
Ms. Willie, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, would you spell your first and last name, please?
Yes, my name is Denise, Denise, Willie, Willie.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Good morning. My name is Denise Willie, and I am an Indigenous Energy Organizer for NAVA. My comment on modernizing oil and gas bonding and cleanup rules in New Mexico. Oil and gas corporations must be held responsible for cleaning up the messes they profit from. The current rules allow corporations to drill without putting up enough money to cover plugging wells, leaving public funds to cover cleanup costs when wells are abandoned. The New Mexican public should not be the financial backstop for oil and gas corporations that abandon their wells. Abandoned wells leak methane, toxins, and oil contaminating water, harming New Mexicans' health and wildlife, and risking fires or explosions. Some of the highest risk wells are near tribal and rural communities. Our people suffer. Our families' health matters. There are nearly 700 known wells and 4,400 more at risk of being abandoned without adequate bonding. 89% of New Mexicans support requiring companies to pay for cleanup and restoration after drilling. We all play by the rules. Corporations should too. If you drill it, you clean it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Sheila, I see another hand.
We did get one more hand. It's Antoinette Reyes.
Ms. Reyes, can you unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Antoinette, Antoinette. My last name Reyes, Reyes.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your time.
Hi, my name is Antoinette Reyes, and I live in southern New Mexico. Across our state, aging and deteriorating oil and gas wells dot the landscape, many of them unplugged and leaking. These wells release methane and cancer-causing chemicals like benzene into the air our children breathe, and, and they threaten the aquifers that sustain our farms, wildlife, and communities. When contamination seeps into groundwater, it doesn't stop at county lines. The harm continues long after companies walk away. Increasing bonding requirements is a matter of accountability. The companies that profit from extraction should be responsible for cleaning up their own pollution, not New Mexico families. As a parent, I would like to see our taxpayer dollars invested in our kids' schools and healthcare, not spent on cleaning up abandoned wells left behind by corporations. Stronger bonding protects our air, water, and future and ensures polluters, not the public, pay the cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. I see another hand, Sheila. Lori Feibelman.
Yes, sorry about that. It's Lori Feibelman, and she has permissions to unmute herself.
All right, Ms. Feibelman, can you unmute yourself? You might have to press Control-Shift-N. Ms. Feibelman, can you unmute yourself? You have permission to unmute yourself. Control-Shift-M might be the trick.
Control-Shift-M might be the trick.
I think
Sorry.
I think I hear you. Hello.
Okay, good.
Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Would you like my legal first name or is Lori okay?
Lori's fine.
Okay. L-O-R-I-L-O-R. Feibelman. F as in Frank, E-I, B as in boy, E-L-M-A-N.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your time.
My name is Lori Feibelman. I'm a grandmother and a parent who raised my kids in New Mexico. I always taught them you can't continue to the next activity if you don't clean up first. Bonding rules teach the same lesson. Industry, no matter the size, should clean up their mess. To not do so costs New Mexico taxpayers like myself and leaves our schools and communities without resources that we could use for other important things.
Have you completed your statement, Ms. Feibelman?
Yes,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there
you're
anyone
welcome.
else at all who would like to offer public comment in this, our final public comment session? I see another hand, Gloria Lamar.
Yes, and she has permissions to unmute now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
Gloria, Gloria, Lemur, Leher.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Excuse me?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your time. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gloria Lemur, and I am here with my husband, Robert Lemur. We are surface rights landowners of 8 acres of land in the city limits of Farmington. There is one abandoned well site on our property, and another barely active well sits there as well, behind a very large fence. Much development is occurring around this site, yet we are hindered by the lack of will of the current mineral operations company to plug and abandon this well and complete restoration of the land toward its natural state. I strongly believe, as do nearly 9 in 10 New Mexicans, that oil and gas companies, not the public, should pay for cleanup when a well becomes abandoned. State data shows New Mexico currently faces between 700 million and 1.6 billion in projected oil and gas well cleanup liabilities. Yet under existing rules, corporations can post bonds for a fraction of the real cleanup cost, which averages $163,000 per well for the state to plug. As taxpayers, we are already paying for legal fees to try to get this situation rectified over many years since the purchase in 1998. Case number 24683, the proposed rule with changes designed to prevent oil and gas wells from becoming abandoned without cleanup would ensure that oil and gas corporations post adequate financial assurance, that is bonds, to cover the cost of cleanup before, before they are allowed to drill. Tighten well transfer rules to protect against risk, and strengthen rules to require timely cleanup instead of allowing wells to linger indefinitely in inactive status. I support this rule in order to protect our land, air, and water from the toxic pollutants of abandoned wells. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lemur.
You're welcome.
Are there any other hands, Sheila? No,
I
in
don't
that
see
case.
any more.
All right, thank you. In that case, we'll return to the technical case, but we do need a break before we do that. Let's return at 10:30 to resume the technical case. Thank you. Let's come back from the break, please. Thank you for joining us on camera, Mr. Cloutier.
You're welcome, Madam Hearing Officer.
Would you call your next witness?
Yes, Madam Hearing Officer, and good morning, members of the Commission. IPA&M calls Jeff Harvard. Good morning, Mr. Harvard. Can you introduce yourself to members of the Commission, please?
I don't hear anything.
You're muted, Jeff.
Forgive me. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, my name is Jeff Harvard. It is spelled JEFFHARVARD.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Cloutier.
Could you give the Commission a little bit of biographical information about yourself, Mr. Harvard?
Yes, I am a lifelong resident of Roswell, New Mexico. My mom and dad came here in 1956 with Sinclair, and my dad worked with them for many years until the majors pulled out of Roswell. He then worked for a couple of independents and started his own company in 1970. Harvard, the first company was Harvard Exploration Company, and have continued to evolve that into Harvard Petroleum Company, LLC, of which I'm the president and managing member. I am also joined by my son, who recently joined the firm as well. So we're getting into the third generation of operations in New Mexico, as well as Texas and Oklahoma.
And tell us about, just in a few sentences, sort of Harvard Petroleum's history, Harvard Exploration through Harvard Petroleum.
Yes, my dad started the company out as putting together or buying a non-operated interest in prospects in New Mexico and then into West Texas from 1970 through 1986. In 1980, we started operating wells in New Mexico and in West Texas, and have been an operator ever since. I would say, well, recently, back in 21, we were fortunate to have an opportunity to bid on a package of wells that were operated by a major producer in New Mexico, and pursued that opportunity, and were successful in being the high bidder for the properties, and that's mainly what my testimony will be about today.
Good. You submitted written direct testimony, correct, Mr. Harvard?
Yes, sir.
Is true and accurate, or do you have any clarifications?
It is true and accurate.
Thank you. What's the purpose of you testifying to the commission today?
My purpose of testifying is to, I guess, highlight the opportunity and value and benefit to the state of New Mexico in maintaining and the long-standing history of I guess the development and exploitation of full exploitation of recovery of hydrocarbons from New Mexico. The opportunity, as I briefly represented, was brought to us by a major company that was just not producing these wells and was not really spending that much time or effort in them, and wanted to go ahead and sell and to sell those wells to somebody that would take advantage of the opportunities that were there. It was, and that has been going on from probably the start of activity in New Mexico. Majors come in and identify prospects and fields and opportunities. They develop them, take advantage of them, but at a point in time, it becomes it's not in their fiscal best interest to continue to operate those wells when they have moved on to other larger opportunities, and they sell those wells to other independent operators that take them over and make the most out of them. And that's what we have done over the years.
Could you give the commission a little bit better idea of the package? Obviously, we're not going to go well by well, but sort of what, on an overall basis, this package consisted of?
Well, it was consisted of approximately 220 wells. There was, I think, it ended up the final trade on it was 209 wells that we acquired. We were the high bidder for for those wells, and once when we received the wells and got control of them, I'll be honest, some of the first activity that we took on those properties was to plug several wells that needed to be plugged and were on the list for that previous operator. We further went beyond that to return wells to production, do workovers, recompletions, and have significantly increased the production out of those properties, and continue to produce and optimize those wells. We are also in an ongoing plugging program of the wells that are no longer economic to produce, and therefore, as we have, as we always do, we take the responsibility of plugging those wells, reclaiming the locations, and do those in conjunction with the state and federal agencies.
Let's just talk about, obviously you mentioned that there were some wells that you bought in the package that needed plugging, but I would assume you wouldn't have spent money on 209 wells that needed plugging. Give the commission a sort of overall basis of the other wells that you didn't plug right away. Were they producing, and if so, at what levels?
Yes, they were producing, some very, very minimally, and there were some wells that I would say most were in the marginal or close to marginal level, but there were multiple wells that were producing at a higher rate. We basically went in and evaluated all the wells and evaluated what had been done, and a lot of it was just with paying attention to the wells, keeping them producing, and ensuring that we're getting the most out of them. Many of the wells we went in and we reworked, cleaned out, did recompletions on certain wells, and increased production significantly. We continue to do that to this day.
How much did you spend in those repairs or reworkings, in rough terms, Mr. Harvard?
Well, approximately 15 million was reinvested into our workover efforts over a several year period. And we were very successful in increasing our production, and in turn, increasing the revenue that was generated for us as well as for the state through royalties and taxes.
Good. Are you familiar with the marginal well definition proposed in this rulemaking and the bonding requirements proposed on marginal wells?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is it consistent with your understanding that it's less than 1,000 BOE in a 12-month period, less than 180 days production, with an and there, and then a dollar amount for bonding?
Yes, sir.
You understand what the dollar amount per single well bond would be under this rulemaking?
I do understand it. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I was asking you to, if you could tell the commission that you understand the amount and tell them what the amount you
Yes,
understand.
the $150,000 per well.
How would that sort of requirement affected the deal that you made for the 209 wells if it had been in place back in 2021 when you did this?
We would have not even, if that was if that was the bonding requirement at that time, we would not have even been interested in looking at or in pursuing the acquisition of those wells. It would not have anywhere, it would significantly increase the amount that we would have had to pay, and would not have been economically beneficial for us to pursue it.
Would it, do you have an understanding that at a certain level under this rulemaking, an operator might have to post wells on bonds on all of its wells if its portfolio contains a certain percentage of marginal wells?
Yes, sir.
And would that have had an effect on this deal?
Yes, sir.
Would this deal have put you over the threshold?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you give the commission on an overview basis sort of where these wells started with production when you got them and where they are today?
Well, as I indicated, we have majority of the wells were in the lower producing, right at or some under the marginal well requirements, and some at and or slightly above. We had and we did have multiple wells that did produce larger volumes of oil and gas, and we can, so it was a spread. I don't have the specific breakdown of every, of all 200 plus wells, but it was a spread with the majority of it being in the close to marginal, slightly above, close to, and some below the marginal rate, with I would say maybe 10% of the production being better by 2 to 3 times.
Okay. And Mr. Harvard, I want to thank you for your direct testimony. The other lawyers have the opportunity to cross-examine you, and the commission can ask you questions. So if you just hang on for them too, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cloutier. Ms. Fox, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard? You're still muted. Control Shift M, maybe?
Got it.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Harvard. Thank you for your testimony. I'm Tanis Fox with representing applicants. We have no questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tremaine, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
$45 more seconds. Thank you. All right. Good morning, Mr. Harvard. This is Jesse Tremaine. I am the legal director for the Oil Conservation Division. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you're well this morning.
Thank you, sir.
I have a couple questions. I want to speak just at a very high level about your portfolio that you talked about and the transaction and redevelopment of those wells. So I want to lay a couple foundational questions, and I'm not trying to quiz you on exact numbers. I just kind of get a ballpark here, if that's all right. So
yes, sir.
When I look at OCD replacement exhibit 16, which is in the record as the production data reported by all operators from fiscal year 2024, and I filter it, I end up with, as of that fiscal year, Harvard would have about 40 oil and gas production wells that produced less than 1,000 BOE and less than 180 days. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, sir, that does.
Okay. And it looks like for fiscal year 2024, there were about three wells that didn't produce anything, oil and gas wells that didn't produce anything and didn't produce for any days in that year. Does that also sound about right?
Yes, sir, it does. I don't have the information in front of me, but it sounds, will not dispute that.
Just trying to clear up that you have a number of wells from that period that would fit the marginal well status, and you have a number that didn't produce at all for whatever reason. You talked in your testimony about the 220 wells that you transacted. Were those the wells that Harvard transferred in from Devon?
Yes, sir, that is.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like a little less than half of those, about 100 of them, were shut in at the time.
Yes, sir. A lot of those wells, a lot of those wells were shut in or very marginal producers.
Do you know why Devon had shut them in?
No, sir, I do not. Well, no, sir, I would not speculate as to why, and I do not know. No, sir.
Sure, and absolutely fair. If you don't know, just you don't know. Do you know why Devon decided to sell them?
They were focused on their current ongoing drilling activity, and the wells that were put in the package to sell were just more of a burden rather than a benefit to them, is my assumption. Again, I would not speculate as to their specific reason, but that is my assumption.
Okay. That package, I mean, there's a distinction between wells that are shut in versus wells that are going to plug. So is there, when you bought those wells from Devon, did that package of wells come with, quote unquote, ready to plug wells, or wells that you expected to plug right away?
As I testified just earlier, yes, there were several wells that needed to be plugged right away.
Okay. And I'm sorry if I missed that, about how many when you took on that package, about how many wells did you expect to have to plug right away rather than return to production?
There were 2 wells that were plugged immediately and a third that followed shortly thereafter.
Okay, so thank you for that. I believe you said that and I just missed it, so apologies.
No, sir.
So I want to get back to these 40 wells from FY20 that are in this marginal well status. When I look at those wells, I see a lot of different production volume, a range of production volumes in a range of days. Does Harvard have any workover or recompletion plans for those wells, or any subset of them?
Would you be a little bit more specific? You're talking about the 40 wells, which can you give? Yeah, what are you referencing there, sir?
Yeah, I mean, maybe specifying the number of wells, because we're talking about different time periods. So again, I'm really not trying to quiz you on any particular wells, but of the wells that would fit current of the wells that Harvard operates that would fall into the marginal well criteria as defined in the proposed rule. Of those wells, do you have any plans to work over, recomplete any of those wells in the
Yes,
near
sir.
or distant future?
Yes, sir, we do. We are always evaluating our production and the optimization thereof. A lot of it it comes down to economic evaluations of the opportunities, the cost of reworks and such like that. And honestly, we keep 1 to 2 rigs running pretty much the whole time out in that, in that area. I would say 1 and occasionally bringing in 2. I'll put it that way.
So 1 or 2 rigs, you're doing some sort of workover or recomplete like all year is kind of persistently working?
Pretty much so. Yes, sir. You have, as you're probably aware that you have pumps that go out, rod parts, additional other issues that may come up that require remedial work to return those wells to production.
Sure. Do you have any plans to put any of those roughly 40 wells into approved temporary abandonment status, or the need to put any of those wells into approved temporary abandonment status?
That is not our intent at this point, and we are more so pursuing a plugging program to, if we really feel like we've done everything we could to get what we can out of that well, and it's really not going to make it, it goes on to our plugging list, and we've got, I think I've got six C-103, plug and abandoned submittals of forms of notice that the wells have been plugged, and we continue maintaining a fairly aggressive. I wouldn't say aggressive. We continue to plug wells all as needed and as financially prudent and I guess prudent.
Thank you, Mr. Harvard. So and apologies again if you've already stated this, about how many wells does Harvard currently believe it's going to plug in the near future, let's say in the next year?
I would say in the next year, we have probably 6 to 10 wells that will probably be plugged within the next year.
Okay. When you acquired about 220 wells from Devon, I mean, you stated earlier in your testimony that those were lower producing wells. I want to ask about your asset retirement plans. I'm, as a premise of my question, I'm including the assumption that if you're buying 220 wells, you know that you have to retire those wells at some point, at least if you don't divest of them. So when you acquired those wells, what plans did you have in place to retire those assets? Really what I'm getting at here is, did you have money, capital reserve for the necessary plugging, or are you relying on revenue from other production in order to prepare for the eventual plugging of those wells?
We had other revenue available to go ahead and to start plugging, and as I previously testified, that was one of the first things that we did. Some of the first activities that we had was plugging and cleaning up those 2 wells. So we knew, and we had modeled out what our anticipated plugging obligations would be, and to ensure that we had the capital and cash flow capabilities to perform those, perform the plugging, the P&As as needed and as prudent.
Thank you. And I didn't mean to belabor the point, Mr. Harvard, about the plugging of the wells you knew you were going to have to plug immediately. I'm trying to get at understanding how you're planning to plug 220 wells. So what plan in place do you have for the asset retirement for the wells that are currently in production but are producing low volumes?
The lower volume wells, and that's as I've indicated, we continue to monitor our production. We continue to optimize as much as possible, and as those wells do fall below that threshold, then they are put onto our plugging list, and we pursue those plugging opportunities or obligations from our side.
So,
Mr. Tremaine, you
Mr.
have
Harvard.
about 5 minutes.
I'll wrap up real quick here. So sorry. So Mr. Harvard, using OCD's proposed average plugging cost of $150,000 for well bores and looking at 220 wells, that roughly maths out to $33 million. So I'm not asking whether you're planning to plug them. I'm asking you to explain how you're going to pay for plugging them.
I have more than 220 wells, those 220 wells, and we have the capital capabilities to pursue that. We will do that over a period of time. We do, when wells, when it's necessary to plug wells, and so it's over a period of time. We are in a reasonable price environment that we continue to monitor and review as far as the economics, and take advantage of those, take advantage of the opportunities that we do have. But yes, if you're asking me, are we prepared to eventually plug those 220 wells? Probably so. I think that they're, over the next, is that going to be over the next year? No. There's majority of those wells, we still model and show that they are capable of producing in paying quantities.
Absolutely, sir. And I'm not suggesting that it would be in the next year or even in the next 5 years. I'm just trying to figure out, we've had a lot of testimony in this hearing. I'm just trying to figure out if you're relying on current production revenue to pay for that, or if you have a savings account planning for that. But I think you've testified that you believe you have the capability to plug those wells. That's, of course, great to hear. I do have to ask you one more question, Mr. Harvard. So we've talked kind of about this planning. Have you looked at Harvard's compliance status for inactive wells recently?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. Are you aware that you have 16 wells that are overdue for being plugged under the current rule?
Yes, sir. 6 of those wells that are on that list have been, as I indicated earlier, the C-103s have been submitted to the OCD, and we're waiting on their. We're in the process of doing the reclamation, and at such time as the reclamation is finished on those on those sites, we'll be notifying the C1 or notifying the OCD for final review and approval. We're still waiting for those the C-103s to be approved. A note that the plugging operation has been completed.
Okay, thank you for that.
And I realize that even with those, that still does put me over the limit, and that's where we're looking at potentially additional plugging proceeding on some of those, as well as return to production.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about FY24, and it looked like there were 3 wells in FY24 that didn't produce anything, and then we skip forward to today. So in that year, you had about 13 additional wells that went inactive. Is there any information you can provide as to kind of what happened, where you went from, 3 wells with no production up to 16 during that year that are now out of compliance with 5.9 and 25.8? Like, what was going on with those wells?
Well, yeah, and again, as I pointed out, it's, we did have, 6 of those wells. You'll take those off, that puts me down to 7, 7 wells. One of the wells on there is a Duncan State, and we're trying to work with the state land office on downhole commingling, and have had some difficulties in getting to the right person to communicate with on that. So we have that. There's we're waiting on one of the wells for federal approval for plugging, so we can go ahead and proceed with that. We are aware of our of that overage of being over our 5 wells allowed, and are aggressively working to improve to get that down into compliance.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I would just, Mr. Harvard, if you've got any questions about any commingling or other approval concerns, please reach out to Mr. Wrinkle. His contact information is available on the website. I have no further questions for Mr. Harvard. Thank you for all of your time and attention here today.
Thank you, Mr. Tremaine. Mr. Grazer, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
I think Mr. Tremaine covered most of what I had, Madam Hearing Officer. Mr. Harvard, you can certainly reach out to Balin Lampkin in the State Land Office if you have commingling questions. I don't think I have anything more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Grazer.
Mr. Grazer, may I ask if you would ask Mr. Lampkin if he would get back with us?
I will.
Thank you, sir.
He's a busy man.
I understand. No, I will understand that. And yeah, because it is our desire. I'll be honest, I'm sitting with 1,000 barrels of oil in tanks that I can't sell. And I think you'd like to see it, and we'd like to see it.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't think we have Ms. Nanausi with us. Mr. Maxwell, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rankin, do you have questions?
No questions for Mr. Harvard. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
All right. I think EOG is monitoring. Mr. Suazo, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
No questions from NMOGA for Mr. Harvard. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
All right. Mr. Cloutier, do you have redirect?
I do not, Madam Hearing Officer. Thank you.
All right. We'll turn then to the commissioners. Commissioner Mpoma, do you have questions?
Yes, I do have a few questions for Mr. Harvard. So, Mr. Harvard, this is William. I'm a professor at New Mexico Tech. Nice meeting you today. And
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for your
Same to meet
testimony.
you.
Thank you. So if we can bring up your direct testimony, not the slides, but the actual direct testimony, I do have some few questions on that.
Yes, sir.
Should see it now on your screens.
Yes, I do. Can we start from page 5? Yeah, so on page 5, I'm reading from, so the question that was asked was from 7, line 7. How would how would your deal to purchase these 220 wells have differed if each marginal well was required to have 150,000 bond? So in your answer, I highlighted from 11, you're saying the seller may have plugged and abandoned some of these wells rather than paying the bonding cost. So my question to you is that, don't you believe that with this set of rules that is available, that is in front of the commission for our consideration, that will more or less motivate larger companies to change their business models by selling their stripper wells or low producing assets earlier to small operators once they meet their economic limit, other than allowing it to be in a TA status for quite a long time.
I would agree with that statement, Mr. Commissioner.
Now let's go to page number 7. So in page 7, I'm reading from question number 12, line number 12. So even if these wells no longer had to be bonded, given the production rise. So your answer highlighted from 13, line 13, you're saying, I do not see any provision under the applicant's rule proposals that an operator coming in and restoring production above, we'll replace that with marginal wells levels, would even get the bond back. So this has been there has been a lot of discussion on this. Do you still believe this assertion is still true?
I have not seen any revisions to I guess the proposed rule that would indicate that if a well is brought out of a stripper well status, that the bond would be returned.
Yeah, let me clarify that. It is a marginal well that the applicant and OCD trying to bond, at that high level, not necessarily stripper wells. Now, my question to you is that, so based on all the discussion, my understanding is OCD saying that is not really true. You have to update the list, periodically. Now, so based on your response, will IPA A&M and NIMOGA work with OCD to provide a language that clarify this in the proposed rule to make sure that everybody is all cleared about the fact that you can release a bond, once your well more or less comes above the marginal status?
I believe, and as a member of IPA&M, I do believe and support communication and discussion with with the OCD about how to improve not just this particular portion of the rule, but address some of the other concerns that we and others have brought up with the rule.
Yeah, and I've been a champion on that. The commissioners, we are all in favor of dialogue between all parties to make sure that our lives become a little bit easier. Let me move on to line 20. So line 20, in there, the question was on line 19, what are your views on the rule proposal? So I don't know how much information, or more or less how much you've listened in to the hearing. There has been a lot of discussions about some exceptions for marginal wells, even exceptions for beneficial use, some TA status, expired TA status. So I just want to ask you, based on all the testimony that we've received here, has your views changed a little bit, or you still stand by the harsh impact it will have on small operators?
I still do stand by my comments, and I also support the other comments that have been made, that there is a significant concern from my side as a lifelong New Mexican about the potential, the great potential for significant waste that would cause, in my mind, premature abandonment of wells that have significant hydrocarbon production. As questioned earlier, there was a lot of wells that would have been, it had even something much less in a bonding requirement on the acquisition that we made, that would have probably precluded us from pursuing that acquisition and therefore probably precluded the significant amount of additional royalty and tax revenues for the state by us that we were able to provide in taking these wells over, giving them some TLC and attention, and significantly increasing the production.
Yeah, Mr. Hubbard. So as I said, there's been a lot of discussion, and hopefully IPNM Council and also NIMOA Council will really explain what happened here, what transpired here to their members, and get some consensus that will more or less help them to renegotiate or more or less discuss with the applicant and OCD to see if there could be some consensus.
I agree, sir.
Thank you. Let's go to last page. That will be number 9. So you were asked, right at the end of page 8, based on your experience you've adapted, what do you think the large effects of this rulemaking will be? Now, your answer is that it will put some smaller operators out of business, probably right away. That is a key word. Now, my question to you is that, based on your discussions with Mr. Shamin, so I'll use your company as an example, assuming you do have about 40 wells that falls within the marginal category. Now, based on the proposed rule, the applicant and NMOCD is providing up until May 2028 timeline for companies to more or less bring their wells up above the marginal status, or more or less plug the well, or at least find a way, other alternative for that well. Do you believe that the May 28 timeline is enough, at least for you and for some companies in your situation, to be able to more or less bring your wells out of the marginal status, or at least have a strong plan as to how you're going to deal with them?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, I can speak for myself and as I articulated to Mr. Tremaine as well, that we are in a position to be able to meet our obligations. We would continue to meet those obligations by pursuing the actions required, and giving us in that period of time, so that it did not become a significant impediment to our cash flow and our I guess our business. But I am well aware of many smaller operators that I do not, I feel like that I guess everybody has an opportunity to, and I do appreciate within the rule that period of time, but I can tell you, I've been getting calls from operators saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And so there is a significant concern amongst, I would say, reliable operators that are saying, I'm out. I'm getting out. And I do want to, I guess, voice that, I'm actually joining in. I have well, in the past, I had to join with another operator in having to plug wells, that we were not the operator of, but I was an owner in the lease. And so we had to plug, we had to pay to plug those 4 wells. I've got another couple of wells that were in that same situation with another operator that failed on his duties and his responsibilities. And I do fully acknowledge that there are a very, very small, I would say, on one hand, number of operators that I would consider bad operators. but the vast majority of operators within the state, I believe, are good operators that are doing their best to make the most out of what they have, to follow the rules and to abide by their obligations. I do not believe that our industry is an industry of bad actors.
So, Mr. Harvard, the last question will be based on your response. Let me ask if you would advocate, at least for your members to at least look at that provision, that May 2028, to see especially prudent operators, if they do have any concerns about the time more or less being too short for them, and if they could more or less provide any suggestions, that can ease the pain that this might probably cause to prudent operators.
I certainly will, and I certainly have been and will continue to advocate for communication and to address. As you've heard and we've heard, there have been multiple ideas, or not ideas, or thoughts, I guess, presented previously related to how we can work with the commission to ensure that there is a remediation fund, and that fund is available to the commission to use and is not borrowed from or taken from. We would, I think that communication is important to see if we can't work out, address the specific concerns in a way that is understood and agreed upon by both parties.
Thank you, Mr. Harvard, for your time. Do appreciate that. No further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Bloom, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
Yes, thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. Good morning, Mr. Harvard.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Tremaine asked you what your plans are to plug P&A, your wells, and I think specifically the 220 that you purchased from Devon. I'm not sure I heard a strong answer. Would you like to take another crack at that?
Could you be a little bit more specific, sir?
Yeah, I mean, we're here with the applicants having asked the OCC to take action to ensure that wells are plugged in the future. And Mr. Tremaine asked you about your plans to plug and take care of your responsibilities for the wells that you own, I think particularly the 220. And I'm not sure that I heard a strong plan from you, and just wanted to give you another opportunity to address that if you wished.
Well, Mr. Tremaine asked if I had the capabilities to plug the 220 wells, and I indicated yes.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Chang, do you have questions of Mr. Harvard?
Not at this time. Thank you very much. I think it's all been explored. Appreciate it. Thank you for your testimony and thank you for your time.
Any reason not to excuse Mr. Harvard?
None, Madam
Thank you very
Hearing
much.
Officer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harvard.
Thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners.
Would you like to call your next
Yes.
witness, Mr. Cloutier?
Our last witness is John Nabors. Madam
I
Hearing
believe he's-
Officer, raising
I
his
believe
hand.
he's raising his hand. Mr. Nabors, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Would you spell your first and last name, please?
John, John, Nabors, Nabors.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Cloutier.
Could you introduce yourself to the commission and tell them a little bit about who you are, Mr. Nabors?
John Nabors. I'm the Executive Vice President here of Operations at Spur. And just education background, I'm a petroleum engineer from University of Texas and have almost 20 years of experience with a multitude of operators.
Thank you. And could you give the commission a brief introduction to Spur Energy, when you started, what your presence in New Mexico is?
Yes. So Spur started back in 2019. We had two large acquisitions that we did with Percussion Petroleum and Concho. We currently operate around 2,700 wells. We run a continuous drilling rig and complete around 43 wells a year, drill and complete 43 wells a year. Additionally, we have about 100 employees in Eddy and Lee County, and we recently drilled our 200th Spur well.
Thank you. Did you offered written testimony in rebuttal, Mr. Nabors?
That is correct.
And do you have any changes or clarifications?
I do not.
Madam Hearing Officer, actually, I forgot to offer Mr. Harvard's direct testimony, but at this point, I offer both Mr. Harvard's direct testimony into the record and Mr. Nabors' rebuttal testimony.
All right, I'll pause for a moment in the event there are objections. They're both admitted. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nabors, part of your rebuttal testimony, I'm just going to identify quickly because I think it's no longer an issue. You spoke about the Electra 22 well, which Mr. John Garcia had identified as marginal under the rules, and you offered some testimony that it had produced for more than 180 days during all those periods. I think we've got that all clarified here in the commission, so I don't want to do that, but I would like you to describe to the commission why a company like Spur would leave a well like the Electra 22 producing at a low level for an extended period of time.
So the area of the field that the Electra sits is on a gathering compression system that is challenged. So the high line pressure of this hasn't let our older producers actually push in and make production. We identified the Electra 22 as having a hole in tubing, but due to this compression problem, it wasn't going to be economic for us to fix the well at that time. We now have line of sight that our gas gatherer is installing new compression throughout the field. And with this lower line pressure, I think it's going to be beneficial to us, the well, and the state from a perspective of revenue to get these wells back online that are deemed marginal. But it was basically due to midstream constraints, we were not able to fix the well and have an economic project.
Thank you. And you are familiar with the definition of marginal well, obviously, because you testified to it. Can you give the commission an idea of how Spur's business strategy employs marginal wells and how they're useful to Spur?
So the wells that would be deemed marginal, we have a field team that goes by, will perform fluid levels in order to indicate if the well is able to produce. We then, after seeing a fluid level that looks acceptable to us and our engineering team, will deploy a workover and, of course, justify that workover as being economic. Unfortunately, there will be some wells that don't meet this economic threshold. So our plan is to then slide that over for tighter review for remaining reserves in place and potential uphole potential, and either recomplete it or plug it.
All right. And what sort of wells are you, first of all, these marginal or near marginal wells that you have, those are vertical wells?
Yes.
And you're drilling horizontal acreage, horizontal wells across the same acreage as many of these marginal vertical wells. Is that correct?
That is correct. Our horizontal wells target the same intervals that the vertical wells are penetrated in.
Thank you. And you had some comments about Mr. Purvis's testimony and his views of marginal wells. Anything else you need to tell the commission regarding that?
Just that his path is kind of a one size fits all, deeming marginal wells and the material risk of them being orphaned. Spur operates these 2,700 wells. We've plugged 62 wells as of this year. We've actually plugged 3 wells that we had nothing to do with, never saw any revenue source due to our discussions with agencies. So I think we've had multiple occasions that we've proved that we are a prudent operator and that holding these marginal wells is not a risk to us or the state.
Okay. And how would it affect your business strategy if the bonding requirements were imposed under this rulemaking on all marginal wells?
That's just something that's part of the economic equation. We'd have to go ahead and see what the increased cost would be for these bonds and decide how we're going to allocate capital. So, of course, if this is a rule that comes into play, we will abide by it like we have all the other rules from the state, the BLM. But yes, it would be added into the economic equation and could limit some development, could limit some workovers and restoring production, and could limit some P&As.
Thank you, Mr. Nabors. I don't have any further questions for you, and pass the witness so that the other attorneys in the commission can provide it or give you any cross-examination, direct any cross-examination to you, Mr. Nabors.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Cloutier. Ms. Fox, do you have questions of Mr. Nabors?
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. I have one question for you, Mr. Nabors. My name is Tanis Fox, and I'm a lawyer with Western Environmental Law Center, and I represent the applicants in this proceeding. And thank you very much for your testimony today. When you were talking about, I think it was the electro well being down for some time because of the gathering system, do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
And I believe you said that at the time when the system was down, it was not economic to fix. Is that correct?
Yes, but let me clarify. So the well has a hole in tubing. It is
I'm
still
sorry, has a
pretty
what? Has a what
hole in
tubing?
tubing. So it's mechanically downhole. And due to the gas gatherer being limited, we couldn't really add any additional gas to that system. Or if we did, we would be taking gas off that system. So it's basically a 1 MCF in, 1 MCF out. So it's you're basically sitting back at the exact same place you are. So that's why it didn't make it economic at that time. And since our gatherer is now adding compression, it's going to increase that production and allow us to fix that hole in tubing.
So I'm not following exactly because I'm not a petroleum engineer, but I guess my question is this. When you testified, you said that it was uneconomic to fix, and what my question really is that why you didn't fix it at the time because it was uneconomic, or was it not technologically possible to fix? Was it out of your control? Was it force majeure?
It was not a complete force majeure, but it's pretty close. But it was because it wasn't economic at that time. And of course, like every industry, things change, and a well that's uneconomic can then become very economic to do a capital project on.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for your testimony.
Thank you, Ms. Fox.
Mr. Tremaine, do you have questions?
I do. I'll be exceptionally brief. I'm really trying to find a witness to path, but I have to ask one quick line of questions. Good morning, Mr. Nabors. My name is Jesse Tremaine. I'm the legal director for the Oil Conservation Division. I hope you're well. Thank you. So, Mr. Nabors, in your direct testimony, you had talked a little bit about, or sorry, in your rebuttal testimony, you had talked a little bit about the electric well and takeaway problems. And I think it's fair to say that you're pointing out potential takeaway problems as an issue that might cause decreased production. Is that I mean, is that generally a fair statement? Like, it is a concern for operators, takeaway problems.
Yes, the takeaway problems, compression problems, and processing problems are definitely real. Our gas gatherer adding, I think I said they've added compression in one area that was suffering from high line pressure. And we are already seeing a significant increase to our PDP base production with only 15 pounds removed. So I know it sounds crazy that 15 pounds can make that much of a difference, but that definitely does make a difference for us and the people that receive revenue and taxes.
So yeah, Mr. Nabors, this is takeaway capacity and pressure is a concept or issue that OCD's become quite familiar with. So I want to just get to a question, ask you a question that gets to kind of the implementation and implications of the rule. So I just want to verify with you that SPUR did in fact have substantial takeaway issues in the past, but the division accommodated those issues in the form of an agreed compliance order, allowing SPUR to continue operating while remaining in compliance with OCD rules.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tremaine. Mr. Grazer, do you have questions of Mr. Nabors?
I do briefly. Hi, Mr. Nabors. I'm Chris Grazer with the New Mexico State Land Office.
Hello.
Can you please let us know what you do with lower producing wells, be that plug them, fix them, divest them?
We are more in the fixing of the wells, kind of what I've talked about before. We have an artificial lift team out in the field that goes and shoots the fluid levels and will identify these wells that might be marginal, might be down, so that we can spend capital appropriately and smartly in order to generate a return. But like I said previously, some of these wells end up not meeting those hurdles and they get added onto our plugging list.
Okay, so that covered fixing and plugging. Do you not divest lower producing wells at all?
We have not. We have only divested a few wells that were looking. The operator that received them was looking at uphole potential.
Okay, and do you have any plans to divest of more that you rather than plug or fix and return to production?
As I sit here today, not that I know of.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nabors. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Grazer. I don't believe we have Ms. Nanasi. Mr. Maxwell, do you have questions of Mr. Nabors?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rankin?
No questions for Mr. Nabors today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. EOG is monitoring. Mr. Suazo, do you have questions?
No questions, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you. Mr. Cloutier, do you have redirect?
I do not, Madam Hearing Officer. Thank you.
All right, we'll turn to the commissioners. Commissioner Mpoma.
Yes, I do have two questions. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Harvard. Now, in the rule, there is a May 2028 timeline for operators to more or less work on their wells to bring them up from marginal status to avoid the 150,000 individual bonding. Do you believe this timeline is good enough, at least for your company, and then also for your IPNM members that you've talked to?
You said implementation in 2028?
Yes.
I think a prudent operator would work through wells as long as they deem them economic.
So based on your discussions with Mr. Tremaine, you talked about the issue that your well faced. That is why it got to the marginal status. So, one of our commissioners, really trying to help us get some exceptions for marginal wells, that falls into the full 150,000 bonding. And one of the exceptions that has been discussed is the potential takeaway problems. Do you believe that when we add such exceptions to the marginal well category, would that alleviate some of the concerns that the industry have now?
Could you repeat that last part? I didn't quite get that.
Okay, so my question is, if we add these exceptions, and one of them is what I just described, in addition to others, so if we are to implement those exceptions to the rule, do you believe that that will alleviate some of the concerns that operators have on these proposed rules?
There's potential for that, yes.
Thank you, sir. I do not have any further questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Bloom.
Mr. Nabors, thanks for your time today. I do not have any questions, however, thank you.
Thank
Chair
you.
Chang.
No questions from me either. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Any reason not to excuse your neighbors?
None.
Thank you, Mr. Neighbors, for your testimony.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else at all to be added to the evidentiary record at this point? This is a question to all parties. Otherwise, as I understand it, we have come to the point where we will close the evidentiary record, and I'll turn the floor back to the chair. Oh.
Madam Hearing Officer, I think the only thing still pending is the motion to dismiss, and I'm not sure what the commission wants to do with that, but I thought I'd raise it before we conclude.
Yes, I believe the chair will be addressing that with council. Ms. Fox?
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. I just wanted to assure you and the commission that all the parties are working together to identify a date that we can all meet, and also identify a briefing schedule that comports with some of the requests from the commission yesterday. I just wanted to give you all that assurance.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Fox. All right, we'll close the evidentiary record at this point then. And Mr. Chair, I will hand you the virtual gavel here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time and effort in conducting this hearing and helping us run this this very important and complicated and substantive and important rulemaking hearing. So appreciate our hearing officer. At this point, I do want to turn, is Mr. Chandler, Commission Counsel, on the platform with us?
I do see him on there. Perhaps he needs to be unmuted.
Great.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, yep. Have you been able to unmute yourself, Commission Counsel?
Hello?
Oh, we can hear you now. Thank you. So to the point that was just raised about the motion to dismiss that we had held in under advisement at the beginning of the hearing, we still, so my understanding is all of the commissioners have now have reviewed, of course, all of the filings related to that motion to dismiss. The commission has also received a written recommendation from hearing officer Orth. Mr. Chandler, given that I had asked the commission and the commission had agreed to hold the decision on the motion to dismiss under advisement until the end of the commission, I'm sorry, until the conclusion of the evidentiary record in this hearing, in case that there are discussions that may further inform that of how we should dispose of or how we should decide in that particular motion. I recall that I had some exchanges with witnesses around the boundaries of our statutory authority here and just exactly the breadth of that of the statute and where it allows and where it doesn't allow us to go. We've also heard from multiple parties trying to clarify the scope of both the statute and the application in front of us. So I wanted to turn the floor over to you, Commission Counsel, and I guess I will also open this dialogue up to our hearing officer here. Has either of you heard any testimony throughout this the last 3 weeks? I guess let me start with our hearing officer. Ms. Hearing Officer, have you heard anything throughout this proceeding that would change your written recommendation to the commission regarding your recommended path for disposing of the motion to dismiss?
No, Mr. Chair.
Then I'll turn to Commission Counsel, Mr. Chandler. Have you heard anything throughout the last 3 weeks that would change your or cause you to want to add to the advice that we have received from Commission Counsel on this matter?
I concur with the hearing officer's recommendation.
Commissioners, I understand there was a proffer of oral arguments on this point. It seems like the issue has been thoroughly explored to me, but I wanted to ask the two commissioners to weigh in. Does the commission feel like additional oral arguments on the particular point of the motion to dismiss would be helpful to the commission, or are the commissioners ready to vote on the motion to dismiss?
Mr. Chair, I would be ready to vote on the motion to dismiss. I think we've heard testimony on many of the areas covered by the motion to dismiss. I don't feel that we need to spend more time on oral arguments or further discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So this one is more of a legal argument. So I will probably want to hear from Commission Counsel what his thoughts are on this. And you're a lawyer too, so I want to hear more from the lawyers because it's a legal thing and not engineering thing. So I'm really struggling with regards to how I'm going to vote on this.
That's fair. What would you like to hear from just the? So we did get a written recommendation from our hearing officer, from Felicia Orth, and then we also just, would you like to hear more from Felicia Orth and Commission Counsel Chandler, or would you like to open it up to all the attorneys, to all the parties?
No, not to all the attorneys, to Commission Counsel.
Just to Commission Counsel. Okay. In that case, Commission Counsel, if you wouldn't mind perhaps summarizing and refreshing some of our recollections around the hearing officer's recommendations, and if you would like to add your own gloss or your own analysis to that, I turn the floor to you.
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, a motion to dismiss, which is taken from district court proceedings, you need to think about it as a series of hurdles. And just because someone gets over a hurdle on the first part doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the case when it goes to the judge or the jury. So a motion to dismiss like this one that's been offered in the initial stages is seen as a hurdle. And so if the commission denies the motion to dismiss, it just means the case proceeds over that hurdle, and the parties will still have a chance to make a legal argument as part of their closing brief regarding this legal issue, because it may turn out to be dispositive. Generally, motions to dismiss early on in the case, the presumptions are in favor of the applicant. So assuming the facts all in favor of the applicant, is there still enough that you'd want to dismiss major portions of the application at this time? So it's my advice, based on that kind of snapshot of the hurdle, that the applicants survive this hurdle and the case continues on. Again, you still have the right during your deliberations to side one way or the other and factor in legal arguments. It's just at this snapshot in time, my advice to you is that you should deny the motion to dismiss based on what's been provided and in the record so far.
Fair enough. Ms. Orth, I know you, I'm sorry, I know you provided us a written recommendation. If you'd like to briefly summarize the rationale, I understand your finding or your written recommendation was that the motion to dismiss was without merit. If you would like to briefly summarize and just refresh all the commissioners' recollection as to how you arrived at that conclusion, I will give you a few minutes if you would like.
Well, I agree completely with Mr. Chandler's threshold discussion there. It's a threshold question. It does not go to the decision that you will make ultimately on the proposed rule. As a threshold question, though, as a first barrier, if you will, the question posed by the motion to dismiss is effectively, is there really any set of facts or legal arguments that would not, if you will, provide support for the rule? In the move-in's mind, the language of the statute and facts do not even get you to the point where you could provide a basis for adoption of the rule in any form. And I didn't agree that things were that clear, that the statute was so clearly written that you could not adopt a rule along the lines of what was proposed to you. So again, I don't think the motion to dismiss had merit, but as again, Mr. Chandler said, it doesn't preclude you from making any decision you'd like to make when you've completed your deliberations.
So if I could ask a question then that may help the entire commission, to both the hearing officer and to commission counsel. If I understand what you're telling us, in order for the commission to vote in favor of the motion to dismiss, the commissioners would have to agree or would have to find that the statute is so prescriptive that there is no possible rule or part of the application or any amendment to the application that could possibly be legal within the statute, right? Is that in order for the motion to dismiss to succeed this early in the process, we would have to decide that there is simply no room for any of any part of the proposed application with it under the scope of the statute in front of us. Is that correct? Or am I overstating it here?
That's generally true, Mr. Chair. I would say that you'd have to find that the LFC's recommendations, where they did call for you to take administrative action, were invalid. I think you'd have to find that the so-called rainbow exhibit was so persuasive in one way. And I'd also add that Mr. Sorich's theory is based on a comma. And I believe around 20 years ago, I went to the Court of Appeals on the exact same argument. The parties can look it up. It's Mexico Chiropractic Board versus the Mexico Pharmacy Board. And I lost on that comma issue. So I don't think it's as clear as Mr. Sorich says. And at this point, have to get over, I think, the threshold for the case to continue.
Okay, so if this helps commission at all, if we believe that there is any room for there to be any form of any part of the application to potentially succeed at, or well, whether or not it even succeeds is a matter of policy. If any part of the application could be possible under the enabling statute that's provided to us, then it seems then my understanding of our legal advice is that we would need to vote to deny the motion to dismiss in front of us. Is there any further questions or discussion from the commissioners? If not, I will invite a motion, one way or the other, however the commission feels, but I will invite a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would so move, but I would just want to see that Dr. Ampoma's questions were answered. And then...
Yeah, my questions were answered, and I think I'm ready to vote. So I will second the motion.
And just to clarify, though, for the record, Commissioner Bloom, are you moving to approve or to approve or to deny the motion to dismiss?
Well, that is important to clarify. I would move to deny the motion to dismiss, Mr. Chair.
And I second.
Thank you. Sheila, would you like to call the roll just since we're on digital platforms, just for the clarity of the record?
Yes, so this is a vote on the motion to deny the motion to dismiss. Commissioner Bloom?
Approve.
Commissioner Ampoma?
Approved.
Commission Chair?
I vote in favor of the to deny the motion to dismiss. Thank you. The motion carries. We put that one issue to bed. I believe that concludes our proceedings for today. And my understanding is that the parties will work with the hearing officer to propose hopefully a mutually agreeable calendar going forward on the remaining post-hearing proceedings. At this point, is there any other protests or any other issues that needs to be entertained before we can gavel this meeting closed? Or is there any other business on any other cases or any other business in front of the commission?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Suazo?
Yes, just for purposes of the record, I understand the denial. And on behalf of NMOGA, I'd just like to object to the denial of the motion to dismiss, simply to preserve NMOGA's position that the commission lacks statutory authority under the Act, the Oil and Gas Act, to adopt the proposed rules. And NMOGA would just like to state that they maintain that the commission does not have the power to create new categories of wells or operators for purposes of financial assurance, to increase individual well bonding requirements beyond the $250,000 cap, or otherwise enlarge the scope of regulatory obligations beyond those authorized under the Act under Section 70-2-12 and 70-2-14. And yeah, I just wanted to get that on the record before we adjourn for the day. So thank you.
IPNM joins. Oh, excuse me, Madam, Sir.
Go ahead. Well, let me first say that the objection is noted, and all the filings on that point, I think, remain in the record. So IPANM, you're welcome to weigh in, but
I don't know how necessary this is, Mr. Chair, but IPNM joins is all I wish to say.
We understand. All the filings on this point remain in the record, and Mr. Suazo has now also put it into the transcript, into the oral record. So we understand that you're preserving the rights, or your rights on that issue, or preserving your objections on that issue. Fair enough. Is there any other organizational matters that we should take up? Does this commission need to take on any other business in the agenda before we adjourn this meeting? If not, if we're all comfortable, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Without objection, so approved. See you all in a week.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.